Hello all. So we are waiting to just get started. Let's wait for others to join.
Okay, hello all. Thanks for joining. So, Nandini, we can start. Thanks.
Yeah, Yash. So hello everyone and welcome to our webinar on modern red team infra development. I'm Nandini Bharadwaj, the operating officer at CyberWarFare Labs. And I'm excited to have you all here with us today. So here, let's get started. Before we dive into our main topic, I would like to give a little background on our company, CyberWarFare Labs. We are an AdTech cybersecurity focused platform that provides one-stop solution for all your cybersecurity problem. Also, we offer simulating critical infrastructure as a playground for cybersecurity enthusiasts. So as you can see, this is the infrastructure, which includes blue team, purple team, and red team. So let's move to next slide. Okay, these are offering of CyberWarFare Labs. These are offering on courses. We provide courses, trainings with practical gamified solution simulation labs. Our course offering range from beginner level to seasoned professional. And we provide on-demand as well as in-person trainings. Our training clients include information security professionals, government professionals, intelligence agencies, and educational institutes. Also, this is our third offering, and we are proud to announce our exclusive offering as a mini course. That is Attack and Detect Advanced Process Injection Technique, which we believe will be very beneficial for those who are interested in red teaming. So let's move to our next slide. Okay, so now I would like to introduce our speaker for today, Yash Bharadwaj, who is co-founder and Chief Technical Officer at CyberWarFare Labs. He is an experienced professional with a demonstrated history of working in security control evasion, multi-cloud security, and cyber red teaming. He has delivered multiple hands-on training, workshop, and presented security research related to red team operation and purple teaming in the conferences, as you can see here. So before we begin, please note that if you have any question during the presentation, please type them into your GoToWebinar text box so that we can have time for question at the end. Also, we will be providing you with the attendance certificate after the end of webinar, that is within 48 hours. So without further ado, I would like to hand over to Yash to take us through the modern red team infra development. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nandini, for the a warm introduction. Just a second, let me start. Okay. Okay, so I hope my screen is visible. Uh, can anyone please confirm? Okay, thanks. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so first of all, thank you all for joining this session, and I hope that you will be learning a lot from this specific session. There are a lot to lot to learn from the infras as well as the modern red team techniques, how actually they develop their infrastructure so that it is scalable, it is easily disposable, and it is stable enough so that it can handle modern the operations that are running. So all the things we will be starting. So first of all, welcome to this webinar, and few things about our company is already explained by Nandini, so thank you for that. So okay, let's begin the things, and first I want to clear it out a few of the things that yes, this particular webinar is recorded, so this recording will be available in our website. Okay, so you can directly view all the things in there. So as soon as we end this webinar, all the things will be uploaded in the YouTube channel, so you can also view the things there. So feel free to refer all the things whenever and whenever you require. So it will be like that. And also regarding the attendance certificate, so yes, we will be providing the attendance certificate to all of you. So for those who have joined or have registered for this webinar, even if they are not available today, they will be getting the certificate, okay, directly by email within 1-2 days. So our team will be providing and sharing the information to you as well. So okay, let's start the technical part. I hope you are all eager to start the technical things. And the architecture that we will be talking about today is mainly focused on the infra. That is the one of the recent red team engagement or the assessment that we have done. We had the like the traditional thought of how and where we should set up the infra, right? So we thought that how to use or how to leverage the legit services like cloud services, etc. So then we come up with our own architecture that has various important components. For example, the payload servers, and for the C2 server, etc. For the redirector server. So we have set up all the things directly in there. So we will also be dealing about the architecture, like how it looks like and how we manage to actually use that architecture for our assessment, and how it can be easily scaled up to a larger number, or how it can be easily disposable. So all the important things we will be dealing out, and at the end we have our mini course launching, so this will be specifically focused on the modern red team infra, as well as some of the OPSEC safe components that we have tried out in this in this webinar. So there will obviously be extension of a lot of things, and what all components that are visible here that will be present. So let's quickly start. So talking about the infrastructure components, when any red team, any professional red team, starts with these kind of assessments, whether they are doing the external assessment, they are any consulting agency, or any firm, or they are the internal red team. Both of them have the problem, as well as the thing is that they first need to have their own infrastructure. So let's say if any red team is hired as a as a on a contractual basis. So this is kind of an external project that is over to the other candidates. So in that case scenario, the red team needs to have their own C2s, their own infras, in hand and use. However, in the internal setup, we have seen that generally organized provide the resources related to the C2s, or if there are any commercial licensing required in any case in the whole red team cycle, right? So everything is end-to-end managed by the organization, if it is a kind of internal red team which is performing operations internally based on the services, based on the offerings, or based on on improving the capability of the blue team. So everything is end-to-end managed by the internal red team. However, they need to continuously upgrade on their own tradecraft, what all things to include, things like that. However, if I talk about external red team assessments, which are actually usually done on the kind of contractual basis, so they need to have their own infra. The main problem that they face is kind of scalability issue, disposability issue, because red team assessment generally take around 1 week to 1 month, and it can be long, like around 3 to 6 months. Okay, so things will be like this when the external assessments are done based on the scope of engagements, based on the objectives required by the client. So these are some of the few problems are in there, that is the infras, as well as about the disposability, how easily it can be disposed, how quickly your infra can be spin up, okay, utilizing the resource wealth of resources, and the automation part. So there are a lot to include in this particular part. So these are some of the important components. First is the command and control server. Okay, so if I specifically talk about the C2 server, so it generally depends on the red team choosing, right? So how the target organization look like, whether they are using the Mac machines, or they are using the Windows OSs, or they are on the Linux environment. So it heavily depends on what C2 the red teams are should focus on. And there are a bunch of various commercial C2s like Cobalt Strike, and some others that have been commercialized. First they were open source. So there are some other C2s that we are aware of that actually that is based on the licensing model, and comes with a kind of subscription, or kind of a yearly basis. So it totally depends on what your C2 supports, how much the red team can integrate their payloads with, because all things are very dynamic. Okay, it takes time to first build your payload and integrate with your C2, because this is the main command and control in server where you will be managing. This is the kind of dashboard where you have or your operators have access to all the things in a place, in a dedicated place. Also, the role-based assignment in the C2 is something that is very important, that that most of the red teams basically look forward to. That is traditionally, if we want to test anything, how we do it, we either perform perform the assessment in our home lab, where we have, let's say, Metasploit, or let's say Sliver, or any other C2 running, open source C2, running in our machine, and then we test it out, right? But it also works the same like in the red team environment. They generally have some kind of environment, kind of a developing or a kind of staging environment, where they test their payloads, where they test their TTPs, and what all things that they will be applying to, for a particular operation. So for that, the red team generally focus on two important things. One is the what is the target machine, what is the architecture of that, and second is how many security controls are deployed in between, right? And third, if I want to add it into this, and how easily the current researched tools, as well as scripts, as well as techniques can be added to the C2. So kind of integration or integrity is what is present in this in this section. Now, talking about the payload server, so there are a lot of options present there. So few of them are own drop, that is one important one. Some of the red teams actually spin up their own payload server, so that they have control over what files are requested. They can have a bunch of rules which actually and on satisfaction or on completion of these rules, only and only after that the payload is getting delivered, right? So these kind of things are in the payload server, right? So red team generally prefers customization. They don't want to give away their TTPs, their techniques, their tools. So they generally focus towards the customization of the existing projects that are out there, whether it is open source, or in case if there is commercial, they ask for the clients or the creators of this of these services, so that they can scale it up, right? Now, redactor server is very important concept that we will be looking at, and this is we have covered a very interesting demonstration that we have recently used in an assessment. So that's what we will be sharing this in the webinar, and this includes the heavy usage of the redactor server. Okay, so let's first understand what this is. So redactor servers are basically very important in the during the operations. So how your implant will connect back to, you don't want to expose your C2s and payload server directly over internet, right? There has to be some kind of security controls that needs to be deployed in the red team infrastructure, so that all your traffic will be routed towards these redactor first. Okay, based on based on the implants, or based on the target environment, etc., and then it will be move forward to the payload server or to the C2 server. That's how things work. Now there are plenty of ways how you can actually start your own redirector server. You can utilize the your own on-premise setup, that is utilizing the Apache or Nginx. That is the one. The second thing is utilizing the open source projects that are out there. The third is utilizing the legit cloud-based resources, right? So that is one thing that is actually used by the red teams, okay, heavily used by the red team. Basically, why? We will see all the things in the demonstration part itself, like why the red teams are using the legit services in the cloud to use that as a redirector, so that they can redirect the traffic to their own C2s, to their own infra. So we will see the things in there. Now, phishing server, there are a lot of open source as well as closed source commercial tools available out there for the phishing server, which basically provides a single dashboard, centralized dashboard, so that the red teams can actually create their own campaigns, or target a specific group. So things like this are present in the phishing server. Okay, so there are a bunch of tools present out there. One is GoFish, right? So that is a thing. Now VPNs and proxies are heavily used by the red teams, right? So that whatever things are having in the internet, or whatever like the things are having, or the protocols that they are using, as well as how encrypted is it. So is it easily cached by the blue team? Is it easily monitored by the by the environment, by the set of tools deployed in the target organization? So that's why red team generally used to redirect the traffic, or to encrypt under a tunnel these things, these VPNs as well as proxies. So these are heavily used by the modern red teams as well. And just for the collaboration between their operators, so they use collaboration tools like Slack, Discord, and there are various others just for the automation part, as well as for the communication between the operators, like how actually things are working. So all these are the modern red team infrastructure. So in the demonstration part, we will majorly be focusing on the command and control server, as well as our own redirector server, right? How we can create the things. So this is a very interesting demonstration, and whatever questions you have, feel free to drop it out in the question box. And once my demonstration is over, I will then go through the questions one by one, right? Because we have a shortage of time and we have a lot to cover. Exactly. So let's talk about the redirection methods we have. First is our cloud-based redirection, that is will be happening over SSL. So what we will be utilizing in the architecture is basically AWS CloudFront. Now, what this particular service is, this service is offered by AWS, and this is for content delivery network, right? So this is basically a CDN, and this is a service offered by AWS. Why it is used? The legit use of this is to deliver high traffic utilities, for example live streaming or game streaming, etc., like this. So that's why CloudFront is used or deployed in various legit applications for streaming purposes, or for handling the for handling the traffic, okay, and for having block or restriction access to this as well. So it provides secure content delivery of AWS services like application load balancers, or any other target groups that you can place behind this. Okay, so let me just go to the service first, and then we will focus on the architecture. So the OPSEC safe side from the red team is that web application firewall WAF, as well as geo restrictions can be applied on the distribution. Okay, so for some of you it might be like uh, kind of a new term for you, like what this geo restriction and these things are. So we will see in the demonstration part itself when we go with the setting up of the redirection, okay, of the redirector server. And the best thing is that when we set up the CloudFront service in AWS, we are provided with a secure domain name, that is something.cloudfront.net, which is a trusted domain, okay, in the out there, right? And it is very easily disposable, right? And it also offers redirection capability. So let me like mull over these things, like how it offers redaction capability and how it can be utilized for this. So this is our own kind of a new technique that we can say that we have come up with. Actually this is CloudFront is not new. It has been previously abused by red teams and the threat actors. However, the how the connectivity and the traffic flow works like is something that we have come up with. So that is the kind of a new technique that we will see in the next slide. Okay, so presenting before you this kind of AWS infrastructure, where the red team deploy all their all their infrastructure in the AWS cloud, and they are utilizing services like CloudFront as an endpoint, which will be exposed, right? This one. Then the traffic will be flowing back to the load balancer ELB, okay, this elastic load balancer, and then to our C2 or our payload server, or there not might not be payload server, but any other things that are present that you want to scale it up. However, there are multiple ways of setting up the things in other cloud as well. For this session, we will be only publishing our AWS research that we have done on setting up the red team infrastructure. So talking about the target implants or the target environment, so there can be a Windows-based environment, there can be a Linux servers or workstation, there can be Mac, or there can be a distribution of all these OSs in the same organization, right? So there can be multiple things. Now the important thing is when you choose your C2, it should be capable enough to target these kind of platforms, right, in real time. and it should be easily integrable, right? Whatever payloads, let's say you're generating for Mac environment, for Linux environment, or for Windows, it should be easily integrable with the current research that is ongoing, or with the evasion techniques that are present out there. Okay, so things like this are there. Now looking this in a terms of a blue team, how things will be. Let's say we successfully managed to run our implant on the Mac machine, let's say, right? And how things will be, it will first be communicating back to our legit domain, that is something.cloudfront.net. Okay, the one that we just saw, that is the first one, that is the exposed domain that we have. Now we have set up the proper routing configuration between the redirector server as well as the load balancer here. Okay, so the communication will be happening back to the ELB. Now here we can specify, multiple target groups where it can connect back to. So there can be, let's say, Mythic C2 handling specific Mac environment. There can be a Cobalt Strike, kind of instance that is handling specific Windows machines, and there can be any other C2, handling the Linux environment. So we can scale it up like that as well. Okay, so we need to define the target groups in the load balancer itself. Now once the load balancer is defined, we can obviously say like the traffic is coming from this particular, and the user agent is this, so we can redirect it to back to the Mythic or back to any other C2, whatever we decide. So this offers us a capability of extending this to multiple endpoints right here. So there can be multiple C2s back in here, there can be multiple C2s or payload server or whatever you want. But the main idea here is our redirector server, which is offered by the CloudFront service in the AWS. This is how the architecture looks like. So what I will do, I will first set up the Mythic EC2 instance. We will go and start from the right. We will first set up Mythic C2 EC2 instance here. Then we will set up the load balancer, AWS ELB, and then we will move forward with setting up the CloudFront endpoint. Right now, once this particular endpoint is done, or is set up, we will then try to have in our own lab environment, we will try to target one of the machine, let's say Windows machine, and see how the back connectivity works with the whole redirection. Okay, so that is a very important concept in here. So let me go with the questions here. Yeah, so someone is saying the slides. Yeah, actually all the contents and everything will be shared after this webinar. Okay, so is there a document that has a one-liner describing the functionality? So see, everything is out there public. The main focus behind this webinar is understanding the AWS architecture, right? Or this design that we have done, so that it generally how the red team can target with the or can deploy this thing with ease, and how this can be automated. So regarding these, the theory content that we saw in the previous slides, all the things are already out there. So there is no need of inclusion of these theories part. Obviously, Derek, the video will be shared. It will be provided like I think today, if we are able to export this today with high quality. So by today we will be sharing and uploading the things in our in the YouTube first, and the link will be in our website. Okay, so AWS, someone is asking, Ian is asking, will AWS allow hosting of such services? Isn't it against the terms of agreement? So obviously there are, kind of scope of engagement, or the terms that are, actually used by the AWS when we actually create an account in AWS, right? So yeah, obviously things are there. However, we are only abusing the functionality of the deployed resources, right? So there are few of the terms, few of the legal parts that has AWS has eased on the red team front. So it has been previously known as well that threat actors as well as red team use these kind of models, so that because there are various ways how things can be achieved. So this is one way. Obviously some of the things are restricted by the AWS, for example, not performing DDoS or not performing malicious activities on the services, right? Like the things. But here the concept is kind of different. We are actually upskilling the game. Okay, so the idea here is to actually refine the detection in the target organization, utilizing the wealth of resources, and that's what the general idea of red team is, right? Either you can also do pen testing or such kind of assessment in the organization. However, the main idea of this kind of setup is to refine detection, right? And based on our innovation or on our innovativeness, etc., in this kind of model, anyone can start and go ahead with the refined detection part. Okay, so fine. I think we can first start with the Mythic EC2 deployment, and then we will start with the load balancer. Okay. So let me first go to my AWS management console. So this is one of our company's one. Okay, so feel free to have your own AWS account for this. So let's go with the EC2 one, EC2 service. So let's first deploy the one of the instance, and we will then deploy Mythic C2 on top of that. Okay, so let me create an instance in here. So let me just name the instance, let's say AWS CMD anything. For the Amazon machine image, I will be utilizing the Ubuntu. Let me search it, Ubuntu, and this is this looks good. Ubuntu server 20.04 LTS, this one. So this looks okay. So I've just selected this. Okay. Now the instance type. So just for the demonstration, generally the red team actually requires kind of good computing resources, so they use high-end specifications of the instances. So for now I will be using the t2.large. Now the key pair is already created by me, so you can feel free to create your own, but this is the key pair how you will be accessing this particular EC2 instance. So that this is regarding that only. Okay, so now move forward. Now who can access your EC2 instance? It should be exposed anywhere? No, we don't want it. We want it to be exposed only to us, right? Only the red teams or the all the red team lead or the operators should be accessible. Obviously there has to be refinement in the kind of levels that are present there, but this is how the things are in this case. So here I will be only allowing the access of my, okay, that is as a red team I'm saying that it's only accessible to me only. However, if there is a there's a custom tab as well. So there is a, let's say, in-house red team, you can whitelist a particular IP range or your own IP where you should be accessible. But just for the demonstration, I will be using my IP only. Okay. Now for the storage, I will be expanding it to around 64. So that is, the kind of specifications that I have done. So you can see that this is the AMI that we have used. The instance type is t2.large, which is quite good for the specification, just for the demonstration that we have used. The firewall is this new security group, like who can access this EC2? Only red team can access, right? There has to be various OPSEC fail kind of scenarios, like it is publicly exposed, right? Anyone can directly SSH into this or even try to SSH or brute force this instance. We don't want it. So that's why I have restricted this only to a single instance or a single IP, sorry, right? Now the storage is 64 gigs, so that's what we want, and it's pretty much very easy. As soon as it is done, it will quickly deploy the things, and we can see the things here. Okay, like this is the public IPv4 address and the VPC ID. The interesting thing is the security group. That's what that needs to be checked carefully, because this provides us access, like who can access this machine, right? So as you have seen in previously that 22 port is only accessible by this source, that this is my IP range, this is my public IP. Okay, so these are the things. Now outbound tools means the EC2 can access the internet. That's the destination that you can see. That is the EC2 can access the things, right? So that is one of the parts in here. So I think it's deployed. So let me connect to this machine here via my C2 by my machine. So here you can see I have actually exported this key pair login directly from the AWS portal. I have already have in my machine. So this is a thing. This is the Ubuntu and this is the DNS name of the EC2. So let me just go and click on the yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So as soon as it is done, you can see I can easily access the EC2. So there is, this is pretty much simple. So let me just update it right away so that we are on the correct or the recent packages of this Ubuntu instance that we have used, right? So that is one thing. Now let me quickly install the Mythic C2 in here. It will just only take around 3-4 minutes so that we are on the same page. And please note that we have only accessed it via the SSH key, right? And we have restricted it to only one machine. So let me open my my notepad. And okay, so let me go and install the Mythic. So this is one of the directory that I've created, and let me just clone it from the original repository. So you can see this is the Mythic that I'm just installing. And once this is done, we will see. So the main motive why we have used Mythic, because it works pretty much seamless with various other kind of environment. That is, it works pretty much well with Linux as well as Mac, right? So that's why we have used Mythic, as well as it is open source. So we can legally use it. So there is no issues on that. And one thing is that it follows the containerized based architecture, right? So the thing is that when I say containerized, the C2 server is running on different port or on a separate container. The payload server is running on a separate container, as well as the documentation part, as well as the other there are multiple containers that are created when you install this C2, right? So it follows the containerized based model, so it's easily disposable and it's easy to integrate with the latest functionality, or even if you want to let's say customize this C2. So things are out there here. So first is this. Let me then install the dependencies, whatever is required. So once you run this command, the ss1, it will automatically go and just check on the repositories and try to install what all things are mentioned in the requirement section, right? So it's like that only. Okay, so it will take around 1-2 minutes for the installation or of the required packages, right? So Docker is required, obviously, and it basically utilizes multiple containers to work in conjunction with each other, and it then provides you the like access that you can directly perform all the things there from a single dashboard. It happens like this. So all the packages are now installed. Let me install this Apollo. Now what this is, let me quickly explain about the Mythic agents. Okay, so there are a lot of agents, because since this is an open source C2. Okay, so you can see this FL, this is the name, the language is JXA, and the C2 channel is supported by as is HTTP, and this works seamlessly with Mac OS 64 as well as Mac OS recent M1 or M2 series, right? M series. So this particular Mythic has the capability to actually run multiple agents. As you can see, FL for Mac environment, Apollo, the one that we will be using for this next step, is the one Apollo. It is basically a C#.NET framework 4.0. C2 channel supported is our HTTP, TCP, SMB, and it works specifically for the Windows one. However, there are other, kind of agents that offered wide functionality. That is this Fraser, and it's coded in Golang. And you can see that it offers a lot of channel support, as well as it works seamlessly with Windows, Mac, M series 64, as well as Linux. Okay, so this is also something you can, feel free to, have a look around of all the supported Mythic agents. However, just for the demonstration, or how the target environment looks like, we will be actually using this particular, Apollo agent. Okay, so this is the one that we will be downloading. So let me go here and start the downloading this particular one, right? Okay. Right. So now if you go and if you go look at the payload types here. Okay, so let me check the payload types, and you can see Apollo is right here. Now, based on the C2 profiles, we will actually be using HTTP. Okay, so that is the one that we will be utilizing. So HTTP or these C2 profiles are basically how how the protocol works like, or how the communication happen from the victim machine to the C2 server, right? So that is defined in the C2 profiles. Now, here for this section, we will only be utilizing the HTTP C2 profile. Now, if you look at the Mythic C2 profiles here, you can see there are multiple ones, and these are the ones: DNS, HTTP, WebSocket, Slack, Dynamic HTTP, and SMB. All of them are present here, right? And you can see some of them as well. So the one that we will be utilizing is HTTP here. So let me quickly go and install the C2 profile, that is HTTP. So let me install this. Okay, now this is done. Now the point of truth, that is with all the things in place, we have accessed our EC2. We have installed the Mythic. Then all the packages that are required by the Mythic is installed. Then we have installed the Windows payload, or the agent, that is Apollo, and we have installed the C2 profile. Now let's start the Mythic CLI, right? So you will see that it will take some time to spin up this particular one, and in the meantime we will be doing some other things, so that we consume most of the time on the, not on the C2 develop, so not on the setting of the C2, but the other parts. Okay, so it will take some time, and you can see, as I said, that it works on the containerized model. So it is actually downloading from various Docker images, from the from these things that are hard coded in it. So that's the thing. So it will take some time. So what we will do, we will first focus on our architecture. So what we have achieved so far is we will be successfully setting up the Mythic EC2 instance. We are in the final phases. That's what we have done. Let's set up the load balancer ELB, okay, and make sure that ELB can access the Mythic C2. So this is our next step. That's what we will be doing. Let's go and set up the elastic load balancer. Okay, so first we go to the instances. This is the instance, right? Here in the left tab, you can see load balancers are here. So go forward and go to the load balancer. Now create a load balancer in here. So you can see there are multiple types of these of these load balancers out here. Some of our application load balancer, few of them are network load balancer, and some of the gateway load balancer, which require high kind of capability, right? So the one that we will be utilizing is the application load balancer. Why? Because you can see the protocols and the things that are supported by this. It offers the traffic from the client or from the victim will be flowing towards HTTP or HTTPS, whatever you prefer, how we set up. And based on the endpoints, okay, like where we want to redirect it to, either it to a Lambda function, either it to any other parts, or either any of the service, or either to a EC2 instance. So we are basically looking forward to route our traffic to the EC2 instance from the client. Okay, that's what we want. So we will be utilizing the application load balancer in this case. So let's create a load balancer. Now just name it anything. Let's say CMD, something like this. It should be internet facing, right? IPv4 address type is fine. It is as it is. Now the VPC ID. So this is quite important. You can see that these are all the private IP addresses or the VPC ID of one of the the instance that we have created, right? So whatever the local IP or the private IP of that instance is that we recently created, you can see that this is the IPv4. Okay, here as present here, this is the IPv4 range, and that is what we will be utilizing. So based on your environment, it will vary because AWS automatically creates its own pools of network where all your instances, all your networking devices, etc., will be allotted with a range of IP address. So this is the one. This is a local IP. Okay, do not need to focus more on that, but this is just a local IP in this case. Okay, so there are a few other questions as well. So let me first complete the flow, and then we will go with the questions. So this is the network mapping. That is fine. Availability zones are kind of used for the subnet. Okay, so I will not be deep diving more into details, but just for the demonstration, I will be selecting two of them. Okay, this is basically for the availability, right? Let's say if one of our load balancer goes down, what we will be, how it will be redirecting, or what is the region that we will be choosing, right? So things will be there. So no need to deep dive into this, but let me just quickly select two of them. That is fine. Now this is an important step, right? Security groups. This is a security group that is attached to this load balancer that we are creating, right? And this is the group ID that you can see, this one, security group ID, that we will be adding in the EC2 instance. So when I say that we need to allow the traffic from elastic load balancer back to the Mythic C2 EC2 instance, I am saying that the security group of this ELB must be added in the allow list here. So that's what we will be doing in the next section once our ELB is created. Okay, so I will repeat it one more time, or you will see the demonstration itself when we do the things. So for now, I will be just copying the things, the security group of this load balancer. That is fine. Now listeners and routing. So this is how how the traffic, that's what we say in the load balancer, how the traffic will be routing back to. So the interesting thing is all the traffic happening between the active implants as well as our redirector server will be over a secure HTTPS tunnel. However, in the internal, how we are, back connecting to our EC2 instance, that is a different story. So just for the demonstration, we will be utilizing HTTP port 80 for the communication. However, the traffic happening over the internet will be, will be encrypted, will be SSL TLS secured, and HTTPS protocol is the one that is in work here. However, when the traffic forwards to back to the ELB and to the EC2, so between the ELB and EC2, it will be over port 80, that is HTTP. So that's what is defined here. So target group is something like where it should forward to, right? Like our ELB got the request, but where it should forward to, we wanted to forward it to back to Mythic C2. So let's do this thing. As of now, I will create a new target group. Okay, so here you can see this basically specify where we are targeting, okay, or where the traffic will route to. Okay, that is a destination, I can see. So this is the instances that I will be saying. Let's just name it let's say TG. Okay, demo TG, let's say just name it demo TG, demo target group, and everything remains same, protocol, port, VPC, all the things are same. Now just whoever is taking note, just please take a note of this health check as well. In the when we set up the Mythic EC2, you will see some kind of anomalous request originating from the ELB, right? And this is health checks is basically a kind of heart sensing, a kind of thing that is developed by this particular thing. This services is that it is to make sure that the load balancer can access the other applications or the internal machines. It is for that only, right? So that's why we are utilizing these kind of health checks. So it's fine, you can modify the numbers if you want, but I will not be doing this. But because of this health check settings, you will be viewing kind of uh, in the backend kind of things like anomalous request that is received, and you will see that this is actually happening from the EC2 instance, right? Sorry, from the load balancer. Now just create next, and this is the one that you can see that I've just created. Just click on this, include as pending below, right? And create the target group. Okay, so you can see that the CMD TG, sorry, demo TG is created. Let me delete the one that I think previously created. Demo, yeah. So this is the one that is previously created. So this is the one that is that we recently created, demo TG. Okay, so it's fine. Go back to the tab, refresh it one time, and you can see demo TG is the recent one that we have just created, right? So this basically tells the target group, that is that the traffic will forward from ELB to the EC2. This is the target group, right? Okay, everything remains as it is. We just create a load balancer, and once it is done, you will see the state. So it's currently in the provisioning state. This is the DNS record, DS name of this, and it's an A record, right? So you can see this is the one, and various things are present in here, the VPC ID, etc. Now let's do one thing. We have, till this point, what we have done, we have set up the EC2, we have set up the ELB, we have also set up the route between ELB and Mythic EC2. But how Mythic C2 will know, like how it will accept the traffic coming from the ELB, to make sure that both are talking with each other, okay, in a manner how we want it to be. So what we do here, we do the things in the security group. So we just allow the traffic coming from ELB to the Mythic EC2 instance. So let me go to this section. Let me go to the instances first. Go to the instance that I just created and go to the security, right? In the inbound rule, like what all traffic are allowed from the internet to the, this machine, this EC2. So let me go to the security group and add an inbound rule. In here, add a rule. So it should be custom TCP, it's fine. And I want it to be talking over port 80. And this is, I'm just pasting that security group of the load balancer, right? So make sure that this is this will vary, okay, in your case as well. So let me click on this, and I will write it just for, so that you understand. Allow uh, traffic from ELB, right? That's what we want. That's what we have configured in here, and that's what we're doing. So that traffic goes to the Mythic to the EC2 instance, and it understands it, right? So allow traffic from ELB. That is one of the security group that we have added, security rule that we have added in the inbound section. So okay, you can see one is the 22 port that I and only I, as a, let's say, as one of the operator, an operator can access this EC2. One rule. Second rule is how it is back connecting from the load balancer. Right? So only these two things are present in here. Now in the meantime, let's check if our Mythic C2. So see, Mythic C2 is already started, and you can see that there are around 10 12 containers that are running. And when we say that it follows container based architecture, you can see Mythic Nginx server, GraphQL. So for each of the service offered by Mythic, everything is segregated in containers, as you can see. Now the best thing is that you can see that how we will be accessing the Mythic C2. Okay, is it, you can see that it is right now running locally. So this is one of the best way of and this is I say that this is one of the best way how it is already by default running in a local fashion, right? Because let's say if this has to be a public one, anyone can access it, right? Or let's say if you forgot to specify in your security group who can access it, it will be kind of open for all, like any blue team or any threat intelligence team can access and see the things because it's already out there, right? So this is the best way. It is not publicly exposed, it is running internally, as you can see in a https 7443. So let me access this particular machine, particular instance, and how I will be accessing this is via port forwarding kind of scenario. So what I do, I will first go to the instance. This is this one. I will connect it one more time using this particular command, using the keys and all the things that I have. So I will be just pasting the things. Now here, what I specify is I will specify that start this server on 7443 on my locally, that is on my machine 443. So what it is saying that we are actually routing the traffic first to local port 7443 and then back to the machine that we have set up, that is this one, right? So this is the port forwarding kind of scenario that we have done. I will not be diving into details, but why I have specified 7443 port, because you can see that the web UI, Mythic web UI is running on 7443 and it is running on a local host, right? That means, see, this EC2 instance is not graphical. If it was graphical, you should have access directly as a local host kind of scenario. But as you can see, this is not a kind of graphical setup. So how we will be accessing it is via this kind of port forwarding thing. So let me just enter this, and you can see I have successfully accessed it one more time. But for now, um, I have created a kind of port forwarding session. So let me go back in here and let me start this, and you can see when I visit localhost 7443, you can see that I am on a kind of this page where it says that there's a potential risk because already the certification and everything is self-signed by Mythic itself. But that's fine, we don't want and go into the details. But you can see that now Mythic C2 instance is now up and running, right? Here you can see. Now, in order to access the credentials or have the credential of this, what we will be doing, there is a kind of, okay, uh, I think, okay, I'm not sure why it's not responding, but yeah, we have another machine as well, another session as well. So here, if I do the kind of .env, so it will provide me all the default passwords, and this is the by default pass random password that is generated upon installation of this C2, and this is the username, and this is the password. So let me copy this thing, and this is, keep a note of the username, mythic_admin. So let me let's just enter it, and here you can see that I have successfully just entered in this as like access this particular EC2 instance or this Mythic C2. So you can see the payload type is Apollo. That's what we have installed, if you recall. The second thing is C2 profile. So HTTP is the one that we will be actually be using. That is the thing. You can do a lot of customization. That's not we will be looking forward to, but rather on the architecture itself. Now, have a look at the at this anomalies or the anomalous request that is getting originated. Okay, so if you look carefully, you can see that the user agent here is elb health checker 2.2, right? Here you can see. So this is the kind of heartbeat sense that is heartbeat sense that is coming directly from the ELB and back to the Mythic C2 EC2 instance, right? So that it makes sure that it is connecting back to the Mythic C2. It takes around 10-20 seconds, something like that, that we have set up, so that it send the packet back to the C2, sorry, a request back to the EC2 instance so that it is running only for that. So that is completely fine. Now things are there like C2 profiles, the payloads. If you have generated anything, socks running or not, you can see credentials, and then this is a kind of how the actually look and feel of a C2 looks like. The best thing is the kind of role based assignment that you can see. So let's say if I am the red team lead, right, so I can actually I have control over all this C2. I have full access to this particular instance, all this resource that I have created. Now let's say there are 3 4 more operators who are working with me, who I have assigned multiple kind of tasks. Let's say one is working on the defense evasion part, one is working on the initial access part, and other is working on let's say the trade card development, anything, right? So for them we can even provide them a kind of separate access to this kind of C2. And that is one important concept, right? So when I say red team, it is basically not individual, they are group of individuals, right? So everyone wants to access this kind of portal where they can perform their operation in their own kind of set, or whatever task they are allotted with. So this is kind of one important thing. And whoever, we can also define the roles. So various commercial tools, they have some kind of different uh, offerings, like based on the roles, based on the other things as well. So that's completely fine. So I think it's fine for now. Like we have the Mythic C2, we have the ELB. Then let's move forward to the redirector server. That is the point of truth. Okay. So let me close this and let me search for CloudFront. So this is the service offered by AWS CloudFront. Okay. And as you can see that this is for the content delivery for AWS S3 buckets, application load balancers, API gateway, etc. Right? So all these are the free tier one. So let's just create a kind of distribution under this CloudFront. So for this, we will be utilizing the ELB. So if you recall the architecture, why we have placed elastic load balancer in between, because our distribution can contact the load balancer, and load balancer can then contact the Mythic EC2 instance, right? So this is the architecture that we have created based on the legit usage of the services, and you can actually use this during your during your red team ops or during your assessments. If you want to have it scalable, you can automate it using Terraform. We will discuss the things later. So for now, let me just select this ELB that we have created, that is CMD, right? Everything works fine. No things on here. Now in the allowed HTTP methods, we are actually going towards the all allowing all the HTTP methods. Why? Because the agent that we are utilizing, Apollo, basically requires and the usage of post request, right? So it also works on the get as well as on the post. So for sending the commands from the C2, it will be sending in here and then back to the C2 server. So for that, post request is required. So that's why we will be utilizing the post one. Okay, and everything works fine. So here for the cache key and origin request, we go with the caching optimized one. That is the default one. You can see. Uh, let's just select that as well, and everything remains as it is. As you have seen in the previous slides, I was saying that AWS WAF and ACLs we can be applied. If you want, you can go ahead with this. And let me also talk about the geo restriction that we have added in the slides. So let me create a distribution, and you can see this is the domain name that we just got, something.cloudfront.net, right? So this is a important thing, because this is a trusted domain, cloudfront.net, and this is just a random subdomain that will be changing afterwards. Now the important thing, if I want to talk on the OPSEC front of this case, is the geo restriction scenario, right? So here I can actually add or block request coming from another, location. So let's say the blue team is the blue team dedicated in-house blue team is present, let's say Singapore region, right? So for them we can, actually block it. Okay, let's say let me just select Singapore, right? So if I add it in the block list, the traffic or the, or any of the connection making or attempting to having on our CloudFront domain, it will automatically be rejected and not be able to access, right? So and let's say the target company or the one that we are assessing is actually on, let's say, on India region, or let's say on on let's say on US specific region, anywhere. So we can then, use it on the allow list and block list. So whatever we want, you can do this. But this is a very important offset safe method if anyone want to use, like the geographic restrictions, who can access your distribution, right? So that is the one. So this is the domain, distributed domain name. So we will be utilizing this. And since we have already, said that how Redirector server will be communicating back to our ELB, and we have already specified how ELB will talk to our Mythic EC2, this completes the full setup or deployment on AWS, right? So any questions on this front right now? Okay. Mm, Victor is asking, will you consider making a short course focusing on manual and automated red team infrastructure building? So yeah, Victor, actually, this particular webinar is for that only. On 10th of March, we will be having our own kind of, mini course that we have recently created. So yeah, we will be having this. So Dave is asking, if you create a CNAME from a domain to the CloudFront, a domain, does the original domain get pulled through it? It can be used to edit traffic at ELP. Yeah, exactly. It works. Feel free to, point it out and replicate in your own environment as well. Yeah, so definitely it will work. Yeah. Yeah, actually the session will be recorded. So yeah, you will be getting access to this. And Dave is asking, you can override the port and put it to a service other than Mythic on the EC2 to stop these requests being seen. Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, there are, various things that can be, done to have this kind of health check. That is kind of a buggy experience on a operator side. So definitely, yeah. Thanks Dave for this recommendation. Exactly. Is the health check configured to be customized or simple? ICMP will do. So actually there are, requests that are present in here. Okay, so the request is actually what is happening between the load balancer back to the the EC2. It's like that. So Mike is asking, can you share the notes? So what I will do, I will create a repository, and or instead of repository, I think a folder will be good, where we have a set of all the all the set of commands, as well as the PPT itself, right? So that you can reuse it later. Okay. Yeah, Adrian is asking that do you have a Terraform script to set up this kind of infra? Yeah, obviously we do have for this, but obviously it varies. It's pretty much simple. I don't see a point in giving away these scripts, because it's easy to set up once you understand the whole concept. It can be easily done. Okay, so Erwin is asking a very good question. How do you bypass aggressive proxies like Zscaler, Palo Alto, etc., which are blocking your beacon traffic? Exactly. So that is a very interesting, kind of question. And obviously, for this webinar, obviously that requires a separate webinar on this, or a separate topic to discuss on this front. But there are various other proxies, right, that you just said, the Zscaler, Palo Alto, etc. So what I will do, I will be referring this question once we complete the full demonstration of this part. Okay, so let me, first, once this is all deployed, So let me spawn my victim machine. So I will be stopping my screen sharing for a minute. So let me just give me some time so that uh, yeah, so that I can have this my victim machine startup. Okay, so just give me 2 minutes. Just give me 2 minutes. Just a second. Okay. So let me so hope my screen is visible, right? So let me quickly go ahead and forward this. So this is I'm just starting my machine in here, okay, as your lab machine, and this is this will be my victim machine that I will be targeting next, right? So here what I will do, I will first create a kind of payload in here. So this is the payload that I will be creating, and the payload will be delivering back to payload will be delivering back to the to the machine, to the target machine that we have created, right? So Windows, then this is the Apollo, this is fine, the exe is fine. Okay, then the set of commands that we want to put into this is also fine. We will be selecting all of them just for the demonstration. HTTP, so this is important. So here in the callback host, we paste the domain that we just got from the CloudFront. Okay, this one in the HTTPS, as you can see, rest remains the same. Callback port will be 443 HTTPS. And if you want, you can either customize the HTTP headers as well, right? So if you want, you can also do the things in here, right? Like accepting from a specific user agent, or there are multiple other things that needs to be done, so that can also be done. So here the callback host is the domain that we just got from the CloudFront. Then the callback port is 443. Everything remains the same, I'm not changing anything. And let me just name it something like pay.exe, right? So let me create a payload, and it will be added to the pipeline, build pipeline. I will be viewing the things in the payload section in here, you can see, right? And everything is correctly set up, right? Our infrastructure is correctly set up in the AWS. And let me just connect to my machine. I think it should be started. Okay, so I think it's started. So let me quickly connect to this one. Okay, so in the meantime, it's starting. Let me go and download this payload. Okay, so it's currently downloaded in my machine, right? So that is done, and let me access it, copy it, and go to. So this is the victim machine that we have, right? Go to any of the folder. So I will just adding all the things in here. Okay, so update or paste this file in here, pay.exe. So there can be multiple ways how you will be delivering. Obviously you will not be delivering this kind of exe. You can either be obfuscating it in let's say or converting it into a, let's say, JS file, and or either a DLL file, and then having some kind of concepts like obfuscation, and then reduction in the entropy, and encryptors, etc. So things will be there. The how the payload will be delivered is a different topic. We are not focusing on this, but just for a demonstration, let's see. Okay. So now, as soon as this particular exe is run, in the callback we will see kind of callback heaven with all the architecture that we have just gone. And you can see that we have an active callback with the whole architecture that we have developed. And it is, if you refer the slides, it is coming from the redirector, first connecting to the redirector first via HTTPS fashion, moving to the ELB, and then ELB to the back to the Mythic EC2, right? So this is the whole flow that we have created. Obviously, there are a lot of addition and customization that can be done based on how it should be talking to the C2 server, and for the redaction purposes as well. So things will be there. It is successfully running. You can see pay.exe is running, and if you go in here, you can communicate it back, like let's say any task. Let me just create anything so that we make sure that it is kind of a stable shell that we just got. Okay, and once it is done, we will have a connection back to our machine. Okay, so you can see that all the files, etc., everything is visible over here. So that means it is a stable shell, and we whatever commands you have added or packed into this payload will be available for you, so that it should be running directly there, right? And it's easily disposable. Let's say once you have this kind of infrastructure correctly set up, so what you can do, you can easily just turn it off, or let's say if you want to disable this distribution for some time and you want it to be up, let's say on the next day when you start your operation, you can either do that as well, or you want to spin the whole infrastructure automated using Terraform, you can easily do that as well. So whatever you prefer, you can just directly move forward with this, right? So I think this pretty much sums up the demonstration of how we have set up the whole AWS architecture, how we make sure that all the routing and the traffic flow works, and how how it actually worked, you saw, and how the traffic will be flowing from the victim environment back to the AWS architecture. And obviously there are a lot of interesting scenarios, like with the addition of various proxy servers, various secure DNS, as well as various firewalls, like which, who, and how it can be connected back to the C2. So there are a lot of and options, but that is on a different level. How you will be getting initial access to the environment is something different, but just for the infra part, this is how it looks like. And yeah, so demonstration is already done. So yeah, some of the pointers related to the OPSEC safe setup. Some of the pointers are that default headers, SSLs, or the banners must be checked once. SSL certificates need to be used instead of using the free 90 days SSL certificate. Try and use some bugs on having your own SSL certificate, your own domain that is a lookalike, and that looks like a legit one. Okay, so spend some bucks on that as well. Kind of a network firewall is also important, so that you protect your infrastructure. Traffic redirection, you need to focus on that. Infra network routing is one part. Then geofencing is also thing that we have not covered, but obviously this is a very important step. That is the victim IP range, selective headers, secret cookies that you can utilize during your actual operations, so that it works pretty much smooth in the whole part, right? So I think that pretty much sums up with the operational security part as well. These are few of the checks that we actually apply during the ops, and based on our infra that we quickly spin up and dispose at our ease, right? So that is the thing. And yeah, so bank yeah, so we are actually introducing our mini course that we call as modern red team infrastructure development, right? So the idea of mini course come up from a point where all of our researchers working with CyberWarFare labs have a kind of thought that the course delivery and the training experience take time, right? We have to do a lot of R&D, and those of you who are following our series of webinar know about this kind of concept, that all of these takes a lot of kind of research part that we need to put into, and a lot of kind of R&D and replication in the lab environment, and so that we can deliver it back to the clients. So it takes time, right? And that's why we thought, let's how about create separate modules and provide it as a or sell it as a mini course on our platform, right? So that's what we had thought, because obviously, the general timeline for us is 3 to 4 months for a short course, and even years for trainings to build, right? So it takes time, obviously, and that's why, to engage with the community and to do our part as well, whatever we have got from the community. So that's why we have come up with such kind of offering, that is mini course, which are very affordable, less than $50, and you get our premium content with all the things. The things are there. You can obviously view our website, and this is the one that we will be releasing on 10th of March 2023. And there will be kind of practical a kind of examination in this as well, that we are planning to have soon. And very interesting techniques, TTPs that we used during the operations are that we have researched so far is actually present in this mini course. So we will be fine tuning this in these 10 days, right? And then we will be releasing it, right? So I think that's all. And thank you all for providing your precious time, and thank you all for being here. So if you like the content, please feel free to shout out and tag us at social media platforms. I hope you like the demonstration, because this is something that is on the infra part, and that is something that I think most of the red teams are actually focusing on these kind of terms. This is a kind of thing that actually needs to be taken care of, as well as the evasion part, and various phases of the red team. So that's why we have thought of researching on this front, because we thought that there is a lot there is a lot of things to be contributed back to this particular domain. That's fine. So if anyone have any technical questions, any doubts related to the content, please email us at support one. Those of you who are our customers know this email ID. Okay, those who are new into this kind of series. So we are trying to actually engage and organize something weekly. Either it is in the form of trainings, paid trainings, or kind of free webinars, or kind of awareness kind of things. So we are trying to do our part on weekly basis, generally on weekends, and on days as well, weekdays as well. So feel free to tag us and shout us. And for various professional red team, purple team labs and technical training services, or for bulk enrollment, feel free to share your requirement at this particular email ID, info@cyberwarfare.lab. So I hope you like this content. I hope you have learned something from this, and hope you will be propagating back to your colleagues, your friends, or your peers, right? So this is actually a continuous learning game. So I will also be learning. I'm not saying that I know all the things. I'm also learning. So apologies from my side if if you think that some of the experience went wrong from your side. But I think that this is just a kind of awareness kind of session. So we got to know each other. We got to know about our about the offerings, about the research, about the things that needs to be practically put on in the market, so that and everyone can benefit from these things, right? So thank you all. Couple of pointers. One is the attendance certificate. So you will be getting the attendance certificate soon. Okay. So might be tomorrow we will be sharing the certificate. So feel free to share this on social media, tag us, so that we have the encouragement of having this and doing this in a continuous and iterative manner, an iterative process. So one thing. Second thing is regarding the content and video. Video we will be uploading shortly. As soon as this is exported from this platform, we will be uploading it shortly to the YouTube, and it will be present in our website. Okay, so um, let me go. So yeah, so as you can see that we are launching on 10th of March. You can see, and you can join the waitlist in here. You can submit your queries if you have anything. So things are in here. Okay, you can see the things. And those of you who are wondering where this things will be present, sorry, Mm, sorry, it's in the live tracks. Okay, yeah. So here you can see in this particular section, there will be a kind of this kind of scenario like download material and watch now. So watch now will be redirecting back to the YouTube, and for the materials there is a separate link. So things will be here. As soon as we end this webinar, we will be uploading the things in this section. Okay, now talking about the questions. Okay, Mark is asking, is the reason you chose Mythic over another C2 environment? Are there? No, actually no. The reason I have chose this is because of my ease of hands-on on this particular C2, as well as it supports, it is open source. That is a major advantage. I can use it freely. Second thing is it is easy to customize. We have the customized version that we actually use during ops, and it can target. It is cross-platform. That means it can target Windows, Linux, as well as Mac workstations, servers, etc. So it's easy to do that. And the integration part is something that we would that we like, because we want it to be customized. We want it to be worked how we want it to be. That's These are few of the things. That's why I chose Mythic over this thing. Yeah. Thank you, Adney. Thanks for this for being here. Um, yeah. Does this only related to building infra on AWS? Does it? So Mike is asking, does it, or does this only related to building infra on AWS, or does it include Azure and GCP? So see, just for this particular session, we have used the AWS, but for the mini course that we have, we will actually be utilizing the Azure one. Okay, so we have things on that part as well, not specific to GCP. If you are looking more into this, we have a GCP red team course specific, but it talks about how to perform red team operation, not to build the red team infrastructure. So that's a thing. So as of now, it's not decided, but Jan is asking what is the cost of this course. So as of now, it's not decided, but obviously it will be less than $50. So it is there. Yeah, thank you, Matthew. This is great. Love how CWL is progressing and providing solid knowledge in the offensive operation. Excited for the mini course. So thanks a lot, Matthew, for being with us and for understanding the things we have. So we are all, we obviously will be having a lot of interesting sessions in future as well, where we provide various interesting topics and the techniques that we face. So things will be there. Thank you, Matthew, for being here. Thank you, Steve. Thanks for being present with us, and you will find all the details over your mail. So you will be expecting an email from us, might be tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow within 24 hours. Okay. Some of the questions, if I missed. So okay, Erwin is asking, how do you bypass aggressive policies like Zscaler, Payload, L2, etc., which are blocking your beacon traffic? So there are few ways through which this can be done, but obviously it depends how it is hardly configured in the environment. Okay, so with the default settings, there are ways through which we can do this. However, however, with the customized policies that the administrator put on, so it is kind of difficult. So it totally depends on how it is configured. There are few ways through which can be this can be used in order to get passed through these proxies, right? So let me give you an example. Is let's say if you are using kind of payload server like OwnDrop for hosting your payloads, etc. So that provides a lot, a kind of offering that is facade files, that is what kind of an extension spoofing. Let's say the end user requests a doc file they will be delivered an ISO file, things like that. However, but these proxies will not get passed it through because of the MIME type checking and because of the other things. So how about creating your own kind of request response scenario where you have your own Nginx server, where you can provide your kind of payload delivery method, and that has to be specifically done with the addition of let's say sandbox awareness and the details of like extensions, etc. So like that. Okay. Ankit Chana, what would be the contents if can tell? See, the contents will be present if you're specific. I think you are asking about the mini course. So obviously the things will be present in the website. So a detailed syllabus of how the mini course progresses will be present there as well. Okay. So things will be out there soon. Okay. On 10th of March we will be releasing it anyways. Okay, so I think okay, most of the questions are answered. So thank you guys, for being present with us, and um, sharing your positive thoughts and asking doubts is what we actually want. Okay, so we want you all to grow. So thank you all for being here, and uh, things will be in our website only. So feel free, okay, feel free to visit and have a look at the parts. Okay, so thank you all of you. Thank you for being present here, and it's been an honor to serve you all. Okay, for this particular webinar. Okay, guys, thank you all. I will be yeah, I will be ending this webinar. So thank you all. Thanks.